Goth's darkness is nihilistic, whereas emo's is cynical.
Wait, I thought we were cynical. Well, whatever, it doesn't matter.
No, see, you're nihilistic.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a good day wherever you are. Anyways, in this video, I want to talk about a question that I have been asked a lot. Just the other day, as a matter of fact, a coworker asked me what the difference between goth and emo was, because she came up to me and she said that her daughter would love the way that I dress because she's really into all that goth stuff. And then she was like, well, they don't call it goth anymore, do they? These days they call it emo. And I had to be like, actually, goth and emo are two different things. And she asked what the difference was, so I gave her a very abbreviated version of the info that I'm gonna tell you in this video. But this is my YouTube channel, so you guys get to hear the long version. Yay! Anyways, I'm going to be talking about both the music and the fashion of both goth and emo, because they are both music-based subcultures. So the music is what the really important core of both of these subcultures are about, and the fashion, because the fashion is where the confusion tends to happen, because both of these subcultures have a little bit of aesthetic crossover when it comes to fashion. So anyways, just a disclaimer, because I am a goth, I know a lot more about goth than I do emo. So if you are an emo or somebody who knows a lot about emo and you see something that I got wrong, feel free to correct me nicely in the comments. I think that I at least know my stuff a little bit, but you know, as somebody who's not a part of that subculture, there could be things that, you know, I don't know. So I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments. If you think I got it right, tell me that too. Anyways, though, in terms of music, goth music started in the late 1970s to early 1980s in the UK. It evolved out of the post-punk music scene, but it had a darker, more melancholy, more gloomy sound than other post-punk, and it uses a lot of minor chords, and there's a prominent use of the bass guitar. There's also a lot of things like distortion and reverb. A lot of times there will be synthesizers and like drum machines. The lyrics are usually dark and poetic. A lot of topics like death and nihilism and dark romanticism and tragedy, as well as sometimes there will be things like even themes of like stereotypically spooky things like vampires and witches and ghosts and stuff like that.
I hear the sounds of the city and dispossessed. Get down, get undressed. Get ready, you and me. We got the kingdom, we got the king, we got the empire. But now as then, we don't doubt, we don't take direction. The creation, my reflection, dance the coast with me.
Whereas, on the other hand, emo music came about in the mid-80s. It evolved out of the hardcore punk scene in Washington, D.C. Early emo bands that were really influential were bands like Rites of Spring and Embrace. And then the second wave of emo music was in the 90s. The Midwest emo scene sort of took that emo sound and combined it with like math rock and indie music, and then that had bands like American Football and Promise Ring and the Get Up Kids. But these early emo sort of bands and the early emo kids, you wouldn't mistake those people for goth at all. The fashion looked completely different. It wasn't until the third wave of emo in the early 2000s that emo began to sort of take influence from pop punk, and there would be a lot of bands like My Chemical Romance and Panic at the Disco and Fall Out Boy.
I chime in with a haven't you people ever heard of closing a goddamn door? No, it's much better to face these kinds of things with a sense of poison rationality. I chime in, haven't you people ever heard of closing a goddamn door? No, it's much better to face these kinds of things with a sense of.
And when emo music began to take inspiration from pop punk, the emo fashion began to take some inspiration from goth fashion. But there are still a lot of key differences between goth fashion and emo fashion, even though the one was influenced by the other. In general, goth fashion is a lot more elaborate and dramatic than emo fashion is. For example, there's a lot of different kinds of goth fashion, but you know, some looks will be more punk influenced, and they'll have things like the ripped fishnets and leather jackets with patches of different like goth bands on them, and leather mini skirts. Or like other goth fashion will be historically inspired, usually inspired by like the Victorian era or the medieval era. And then some goth fashion will even be inspired by like lingerie and fetish fashion, and you'll see things like PVC and garter belts, and you know, corsets could go either way with the Victorian influence or the fetish influence, depending on, you know, how you do it. Or, you know, you could have like a mashup of styles, but either way, the look is usually very extravagant, very dramatic, a lot of velvet and brocade and just really lush leather and lace and stuff like that. Whereas emo, on the other hand, is usually a much more casual fashion. You're going to see a lot more t-shirts and skinny jeans and hoodies, and for like girls, you'll see a lot of like little mini schoolgirl skirts. For shoes, boots are very common in like goth fashion. Either your pointy boots like your winkle pickers, or pointy, more Victorian-esque boots, or platform boots like your big tall demonias, or sometimes even just like a platform shoe, like a platform Mary Jane or something, are common for gothic women. Whereas in emo, sometimes you'll see boots. You're more likely to see like Converse or Vans in emo fashion than you are to see the gothic boots. And for hair, there's a lot of different kinds of goth hair. Hair that is long and loose is very common for both goth men and women. And for women, a lot of times they'll have bangs, either like the straight bangs like mine, or like mine are supposed to be, but my hair doesn't like to cooperate with me because I have wavy hair, and my bangs don't always want to be straight. But either that, or like the vampiric V-shaped bangs, or another popular hairstyle for both goth men and women would be the big teased bat's nest hairstyle that you see like a lot of trad goths have. That goes back to people from the 80s, like Robert Smith and Susie Sue. They were some of the original influential goths that helped define what goth fashion would be. And another common hairstyle that you'll see is like the death hawk, which is like a combination of like that teased trad goth hair with like a mohawk. You'll see like shaved on the sides but like teased, and then sometimes they'll have like a little piece at the side that's like a little bat wing. But there's all kinds of different goth hair. These aren't like the only styles that goths can have. These are just a few of the more common ones. But emo hair, on the other hand, is almost always straight. Both men and women will have sort of the same sort of straightened hairstyle with like swooping bangs that often like cover one eye, sort of like an asymmetrical swoop. There will be like short and spiky variations of this hairstyle, as well as like longer versions of it, but it's all sort of that same swooped hairstyle. I think is the most common emo hair, although sometimes you'll see emos that have different hair than that. That's just like the common typical one that you always see. In terms of makeup, goth makeup again is usually a lot more dramatic. Sometimes it'll be as extreme as like the full-on white face and dramatic big graphic eyeliner, huge wings, and drawn on eyebrows and black lipstick, and he'll draw like an onk on your face and like all that. Whereas some other goth makeup can be a little softer, more like a natural skin tone instead of like stark bright white, and you'll see like just a smoky eye or like a red lip, sort of like what I have today, but still more dramatic than emo makeup, which is usually very simple most of the time. You'll just see like just a little bit of black eyeliner, or sometimes a little bit of red eyeshadow if you want to go for that sort of Gerard Way, My Chemical Romance look. But it's usually very simple, maybe occasionally black lipstick, but most of the time just some eyeliner will be good for like an emo look. So even though they both have like a lot of black clothes and sometimes sort of dark aesthetics, there is a pretty big difference there. Not all goth fashion, though, is completely elaborate. Sometimes goths will dress down, some goths only dress up for like events, or if they're going out, and like on a daily basis they dress more casually. And for example, an outfit that has like a black band t-shirt and black skinny jeans and black dark buttons, that could be either a goth outfit or an emo outfit. And in that case, the only way to really tell is, you know, by looking at the band on the shirt. Is it a goth band or is it an emo band? Because at the end of the day, they are both music-based subcultures, and that's the important part in determining whether or not somebody is goth or emo. So I hope that was informative. I hope you learned something, or if you already knew all this stuff, then I hope you enjoyed it anyways. Now all that's left to do is to take a look at my goth outfit. I hope you like it. Bye!